Let's get into Coach Flo though. The Dolphins, they have today off. That's what happens on Tuesdays.
You want some fake flow, or you want to just go right in the flow?
Let's do some fake flow first. Right. Coach Flo, Brendan Tobin, 7 I have the ticket. You mentioned after the game on Sunday that you're going to evaluate everything. After watching the film, what changes do you think can be made to try and get this thing going in the right direction?
Well, look, as I said before, football is a game of execution. I felt we prepared well, but for whatever reason, that execution was lacking during the game. So, we got to, it starts with me. We got to go back and we got to make sure we're all on the same page with what to do, how to do it, or what have you, and just keep it moving. We got 13 more games. It's a long season, but we got to pay attention to the detail to turn this around, because it seems, like I said, our guys are working hard. It's just not transferring over to, the game, and we'll correct it and we'll be better next week. But it all starts with me.
It's got to start with him. Here's a little bit from a real flow yesterday on some changes that could be coming.
I think we're still evaluating, everything: offense, defense, special teams, our operation, the way we practice. It's got to be better. We've got to do basically everything better. So still kind of evaluating some things. I don't expect any wholesale changes. That's what you're asking. But we're still kind of going through the evaluation process, making the corrections from yesterday, making those today. But you don't expect any wholesale changes.
Might want to make some wholesale. Might want to go to BJ's,
Who you gonna but here's the deal. Who you gonna change to? You think you got just a guy sitting on the bench that's better than the guy you got on the field?
Yeah, maybe do a little flippy flop with Studes and Gods, Put Godsville and Studesy, maybe flip them. We'll put one in the booth, one in the field. Flip them up. Let's see. Let's try some things out.
You think that matters?
I don't know. I'd like to know.
You know how many head coaches are hired because they think they're gurus, when in actuality they had a team that was really good and could make any play look good?
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of them.
Normally a guru is offensive. I don't know about many defensive gurus, which is one of the reasons.
Bill Belichick, defensive guru.
Yeah, but nobody calls him a defensive guru. Nobody ever referred to him.
They did. All they talk about is his defensive abilities.
But guru is more to the offensive side. I don't feel like
because it comes with a quarterback coach.
I think you're more of a defensive wizard more so than a defensive guru. Am I wrong there, Marcos? Defensive wizard.
I'm more of like
I would say
aficionado.
If I had LT,
ooh,
it's pretty good. Aficionado.
Tahoe says, "Do you think that Flo watched Justin Herbert last night?" Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it was on in the background. I'm sure there were some texts between him and Chris Greer. Listen, this is the way I land right now on the Justin Herbert thing. Okay. Yeah, they may have whiffed on this one. In fact, it very much looks like they have whiffed on this one.
Yeah, however, you're in that camp too, aren't you? Aren't you?
In what camp?
The camp of I wanted to. I don't care about anything else.
That's kind of where I do land on it. Like I remember the happiness that this city had the night that he was drafted. I don't recall a lot of we should have taken Herbert. We should have taken him.
Not until they started playing.
I didn't get a lot of that on draft night. People were happy that Tua was the quarterback taken. That this is a guy that they wanted for 2 years. This entire city wanted for 2 years.
You won it for 2 years. Don't take you out of it.
I am part of that. I agree with that. I'm not denying. I'm not denying.
Then here's my thing.
But this is the
then
way.
Roll with it.
Well, roll with it. Okay. This is the way that I look at it. Is that just because Justin Herbert is off to this fantastic start, it doesn't mean I can't still root for Tua to be good for the Dolphins. I'm not gonna shut off all football and blow off any chance that the guy can end up working out. It sucks that he's on the sidelines right now and that he's not able to perform to try and keep up or have the Dolphins in any kind of place. I just think that there's a couple of things here because of the old perpetual cycle of doom that we've been told about with Dolphin fans, and because things have just been a disaster for so long down here. Nobody has the faith that this is going to work out. Nobody. Everybody has already resigned themselves that this is going to be a disaster and there's no other outcome. But, you could just look a couple quarterback classes ago. Like right now, Leroy, what would you say, like, the Browns' feeling of Baker Mayfield is? They like him, right? Like, as a quarterback?
You ready?
No, don't tell him. What? After all of that, all they've been waiting for, that's what they feel about him?
Here's why. Because you can't be in a crucial moment of the game with your best receiver running wide open because he just shook somebody out of their shoes, and you're missing by 20 yards. Like, there was, like, if a defender was close, he would have tried to tackle him because he was so beat, but there was nobody close enough to touch him.
But do you think, like, that team's still really good, and you think that he's good enough to get them playoff wins, yes?
Here's what I think. I think that the way they think in Cleveland now is at least we have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt because we won't have to depend on him that much. But, you'll catch him where he'll make a couple of great plays in a game. But you still don't want to have to depend on that.
If you were going to go to that class, which they took a ton of quarterbacks in that class, like if you were to call the fight after, the time that we're at right now, like you would have gone with Lamar Jackson and that would have been the guy. And I'm saying Lamar, I really like Lamar Jackson. I'm more high on him than a lot of people are as far as like some people just think, oh, it's a ticking time bomb. It's going to wait out. But I love Lamar Jackson. I love watching him play football. But, probably as of right now, that you give it another year, probably the quarterback that everybody would go to in that division is now just Josh Allen. Like, is
that the same draft?
Same draft, yes.
And guess what? It was 3 years before you even got any return on that.
Right.
And I don't know what it is, but you're talking about a team who hasn't really had any success, that were relatively patient when it comes to a quarterback and what he was doing. Because guess what? It's very rare, very, very rare for a quarterback all of a sudden to become accurate.
I'll give you a non-QB example. It was funny because I was watching this dude warm up last night, and man, I tell you what, they shouldn't have brought him out for the second half because he took 2 steps. And then his knee got banged. He collided with Gabe Vincent. I could hear Nate McMillan go, "Oh, Trae Young," because Trae Young, everybody was calling the fight on that one too. Luka Doncic, that's the dude. Now I think Luka's a better player. However, I would imagine that if you're a Hawks fan, you ride and die with Trae Young because first of all, one more playoff series than Luka Doncic has. He was awesome last year in the playoffs. That dude is the ultimate heel. I mean, he goes to the Madison Square Garden and makes Knicks fans cry. And if you would have given that a season, you would have been like, what an egregious mistake. We took Luka Doncic over this guy. And you didn't even let the guy play out. So just because Justin Herbert is off to this incredible start, and he is, and yeah, I think he probably would have been good here too. I'm sure, maybe not the way that this place has been cursed lately. But it doesn't mean that Tua Tagovailoa can't work out. It doesn't mean that.
Here, can I ask you a question? This is an honest question.
Yeah.
If I swap the 2 quarterbacks, would Tua be having the same success as Justin Herbert?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Justin Herbert's.
I
think Justin Herbert.
You basically think that Justin Herbert is a better quarterback.
Right now, I do. But I think that's fine.
No, I'm just saying in general because if you're making that. If you're taking that position, then that's what you're saying. Because I think
it would be. How silly would I sound if I said that Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than him right now? I mean, that's
no. But I didn't ask you if he was better. I just said if I swap the 2 quarterbacks, and I say this for circumstances, if I swapped the two quarterbacks, are we saying the same thing about Tua and saying we should have took Tua?
I do
because
think, well,
that team is better.
I do think that team is not only better, but I think they've done a better job of supporting Justin Herbert. But I think that Justin Herbert just currently is better. I think that he is.
Okay, but like you see what I'm saying, right? Because I'm like I have been, like just going crazy just watching all these different players in all these sports get drafted early in the draft, but they end up in bad situations on bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then we deem all of those guys all the time to be a bust. And I would say, this is one of those situations where, like, some of your better quarterbacks and some of your quarterbacks that end up being Hall of Famers and great players, it all starts off with the situation and the circumstances that they're drafted into.
Right. And right
like
now,
everybody doesn't go into a situation like Troy Aikman where the team was just horrible.
Yeah. And
the good quarterbacks go in and they're drafted like 10th, 15th, in the 20s. You know what I mean? Now, there's some exceptions to that.
But it's a funny thing because like everybody's raving about the Chargers pick with their O-line and everything that they've done for them. And the Dolphins yesterday, like, Flores can't rule out that they're going to move Austin Jackson in. Like,
where are they moving him?
I mean, if I would guess if they're going to move him, they would move him inside. But I would hope they would move him outside the facility. Text writes in. Did you guys see how good that Herbert looked? Looking over, I can't believe that this is another season wasted. Another texter writes in. He says, Tua will be injured if he was on the Chargers. Another guy says, Tua is built like a high school kid. Probably going to have trouble staying in the game. Doesn't look up to the task. Just saying. Everybody's rats off a ship.
Too soon for all that.
Everybody's rats off a ship, Leroy. Everybody's rats off a ship, and they saw it the whole way through. I wonder if there are. You think there's I wanted Herbert the whole time, guys. You think there's a bunch of those walking around South Florida now?
Kind of like you are with Kyle Lowry.
Oh, that's my guy. I love Kyle Lowry. I've always said underappreciated, savvy floor general of the game. And getting to watch it up close last night, just confirmed all my beliefs about Low Dog. Love that guy. Love him. What he's gonna do for Bam this year? Woo, Leroy.
You're a fraud.
I'm not a fraud.
Tobin.
What? Always wanted him. Always. Ever since he hit that half-court heave against the Heat, I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy.
Who Tobin is.
Jeez, Kyle.
Really enjoying you.
Toby?
Guy goes, you drafted a broken quarterback. We're surprised that he's broken. Yeah, I didn't hear anybody. It was so funny that draft night. I didn't hear anybody who was bringing this up. Like, who was the Debbie Downer in the corner? Other than Robbie, of course. Who was the Debbie Downer in the corner who's like, oh, can't believe we did this. I mean, it was like a festival when Tua was taken. But no, listen, you can call right now, 786-360-0790. I'd love to hear from the Justin Herberts. I told you so, guys. 786-360-0790. Good.
It's easy to say now.
I want it, Leroy. You know what? I'll let them take their victory lap today. I want them to, they
Why?
can just because. You know what? Let them do it. I'm a Justin Herbert, I told you so guy. 786-360-0790. You can call right now. In the meanwhile, I'm going to listen to Coach Flo because we got bigger issues right now. All right, than maybe a drastic, catastrophic mistake of passing on a generational arm, and that is nobody can block on this team. Would you like to hear Coach Flo discuss where he's at with Austin Jackson?
Tried to say nobody can block without saying the words nobody can block.
Right. The last time we had Coach Flo talk about Austin Jackson, he was having his back. He go, Eichenberg's back, but Austin Jackson's our left tackle. Well, now let's see where he's at with his old first round pick.
Austin Jackson seems like he's been struggling all season, and pretty much it carries over from training camp. Is there any thought to what can be done to address this, and any thought to possibly moving him inside to maybe left guard?
I think we're evaluating everything, Omar. I think we're evaluating the what we're seeing on the offensive line, on the defensive line. on really across the board. And we're going to take a hard look at really everything we're doing to include the offensive line. We've made changes. Really, we've had to make changes due to injury or performance this year, and we'll continue to evaluate it. And if we feel like we need to make a change, we will.
I tell you what, he basically put it out there.
Put it out.
I don't know what you heard.
That's what. What'd you
but
hear?
I heard. He said we've made changes based on injury or whatever, and then he kind of just threw that one word out there. Production. What did he say? Performance. Which means that anybody on that offensive line could not be present the next week.
Yeah, because what I heard was Coach Flo go to the old gun chest, and I heard him starting to load his ammunitions because I think he's ready to. I think once he watches that film with Austin Jackson, he's going to unload the bum guns on him.
I think he already knew. Like, there's certain times where you don't need to get to the film. You know what you've been watching for the last 4.5 hours. And for him, it's even longer than that because they had questions in camp.
Would you like to hear him evaluate all of the offensive line?
No, he's going to say something about they need to learn how to work together. But, yeah, sure.
All right, here's some Coach Flo on where this O-line is at.
What is going on in your evaluation with the second-year offensive lineman?
I mean, I think it's.
Yeesh.
You know.
What was the question
I
again?
think these guys they work hard, and it's important to them. And I think they're doing everything they can to improve and get better. And I've seen improvement from each guy. I have, and there's some instances where we're not getting the consistency that we're looking for, but I've definitely seen improvement from each guy. I think what we're talking about is consistency from the players you're talking about. On the offensive line, whether it's Solomon, whether it's Austin, whether it's Rob Hunt. And that's something that we're still building towards. They're still developing players, but we need that consistency, and that's something that we harp on and we talk about really on a daily basis. We need that. We need it in game, and we need it sooner than later.
Yeah, I would say so. Although I heard all I needed to hear in the beginning when he was painfully just trying to figure. You could just, like, you ever hear somebody trying to find the words? Like, this is like Flo trying to figure out how he's going to break up with somebody. Like, it was painful listening to the beginning of that, Leroy. He goes,
yes, it was.
Omar's just asking him because, yeah, so what's up with these second-year old linemen? Flo's like, okay, I knew this was coming.
Use your words.
How am I going to say
Use your
something?
words.
Gotta say something not offensive to them, but also like he was laboring to find the words.
Sure.
I thought he did round it out nice after having to collect his thoughts for like 30 seconds. I mean,
and I think you collecting thoughts to say what you need to say without throwing another person under the bus and having to have more of a conversation on it.
Texter just nails it where he goes, that silence was deafening. It was just like, can we hear it again? I want it just up to the point where like he has that giant gap and then just play the question and then like that up until the point where he finally picks it up after that just giant gap of silence because he has to gather his thoughts on how bad his line is.
What is going on in your evaluation with the second-year offensive lineman?
I mean, I think it's, you know, I think
Whoa.
Jeez.
Somebody says, dude, I thought my radio skipped. He really paused that long? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, hey. Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. This is what's keeping him up at night. Like, you could just
Would you rather him do that or just wing it?
No, I listen. I like it. I do like it, but I can just tell this is haunting his sleep, like haunting his dreams. Is just his guys getting turned around.
I think one of the things that haunts him is that I honestly believe that they went into this season thinking that they were going to improve at those positions.
Yeah.
And to have to go back now and try to figure out why they're not is almost as much of a pain in the ass than if they weren't doing anything right.
He sounded disgusted.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusted. I don't hear him like that. I got to tell you, yesterday, about the most, like, I don't want to say emotional, but you could read the frustration on Flo's voice yesterday. You could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Feel it, I should say. And you know him. He's just normally cool. Doesn't really go one way or the other.
Right.
1 and 3 will make you feel that way, though. It will. Especially
it's early, though, man.
It's early. Stink. But we'll see.